So, Mike, around this time last year, we were talking about the new rule changes in Major League Baseball, and I brought you on about a year ago, and I'm a very traditionalist when it comes to baseball. I did not know how these rule changes were going to work. And then I watched the first three innings of opening day, and I'm like, yeah, and this pitch clock, I'm absolutely wrong. It definitely is going to speed up the game, and it makes the game more watchable. From your perspective, were you happy with the changes that you saw? I don't know how many games you went to this year, and opposed to watching them on TV, obviously. Are you happy with the rule changes? And then, do you think it actually brought more excitement and is potentially bringing more fans back to the game of baseball?
Absolutely. I think that the rule changes really help. One of the teams that benefited was my Pittsburgh Pirates. They're a young team. They like to run the bases under Derek Shelton, and the pitch clock helped that. They were able to steal more bases, and it wasn't a team that was really able to put it together last year. Maybe with the talent that's in tow, they're able to this year in a week in El Central. But Brandon, the thing is, uh, it helps young teams even the playing field. It's no longer become, who can hit the most home runs, who can hit the most uh, long in play balls. It's about who is able to get on base, who's able to get around the bases and score. And I think that the pitch clock has only helped that. And it only makes for more exciting games and increased viewership.
So, all the talk around baseball this offseason was about, obviously, Shohei Ohtani going to the Dodgers, Juan Soto going to the Yankees. But in both those cases, I look at both those teams, and obviously they're both huge markets. But they both in the last decade, even though the Dodgers did win the World Series, albeit in the COVID year, they both have had multiple number one seeds, and they both have failed to reach the World Series multiple times. And I look at a team like the Los Angeles Angels, the last few years had Mike Trout. They had Shohei Ohtani. They had the two best players per season in baseball, and they didn't even make the playoffs. So I look at this, and I look at a team like Arizona last year, who obviously came out of nowhere to make the World Series. And I'm saying, I think baseball, and me and you both know this because we're in smaller markets. My team spends a little bit more than your team, but not that much. But this notion that, if you pay players the bigger payroll, the better your team's going to be. That's not always the case in baseball, Mike, because these guys spend a lot of money, and what does it get them? 100 wins, sure, but it gets you first and out almost every single postseason for the last decade.
Well, but here's the thing, Brandon. I kind of disagree with what you're saying because that's the reason they do make the playoffs is they have this elite level talent. You know, for our small market teams to be great, the farm system has to be great. And luckily, I think this Pirates team has a great farm system, and they'll be there either this year or next year. Look out for this Pirates team. I bet on them to win the division.
You did this year.
Yeah, I think that the way they started last year with the additions that they made this year, strong players. I don't know if you've done that much research, but a big part of last year was not being able to close out games. Two things: not being able to close out games and not having that great of offense. The offense fell apart. Henry Davis now gets a full year, is maybe our best bat in the entire lineup, around 5 or 6 hole. Moving on, then we also signed Aroldis Chapman in the bullpen, and that'll help us. We now have an 8-man, setup guy for David Bednar. If this Pirates team is able to hold a lead, they will be dangerous in this division. It's very winnable. Cardinals are coming off their worst season, maybe ever. The Cubs, Cubs are obviously probably the most talented team, talent wise. And then from there, Brewers are down for a down year because they've lost a lot of players.
And they've
Close
injured well.
Devin Williams is hurt. Um, so yeah, it's one of those deals where this division could be wide open. If the Pirates bullpen could take advantage, you might see a team like the Pirates emerge and be strong, especially the guy from LSU, who you probably know is Mr. Paul Skeens, is due to come up in July. Big things for the Pirates going forward.
Yeah, I think obviously our two divisions being the AL Central and the NL Central are the two weakest divisions in baseball. I think AL Central just in totality maybe a bit weaker. Um, but I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Mike. At the time of this recording, we are about maybe a week and a half away from opening day, and when you look at the American League, when you look at the National League, I don't need you to give me a World Series winner if you don't want to, but give me your thoughts on who you think was the best bets, I guess, to make it out of the American League and then to make it out of the National League.
I mean, when you look at the American League, one move kind of stands out for me, and that's Baltimore. Baltimore
I agree with you.
Gibson, uh, strong offense, strong solid. Uh, I look at the Orioles, I just see a team that's young, hungry, and ready to take advantage. And then on the National League side, um, I would like to say the Pirates, maybe from our 1979 World Series where we beat the Orioles. But at the same time, maybe this is a young team that's maybe also a year away. Um, but as far as teams to look for in the National League, you got to put the Dodgers in there. Shohei Ohtani, major move. Um, this is a guy that really, really changes their team and now becomes win the championship or everything is a total failure. I think a lot of people thought that it was before, but now it's a different level of disappointment. And another team really to watch out for is San Francisco in the National League West. I like the young players they put together, and I also like the pitching staff that they're able to construct a very solid team that hits for average, and I think they'll be in it at the end. I like the Giants and I like the Dodgers this year.
In the National League, I'm shocked a little bit that you didn't mention Atlanta. That's a team who I think can really hit for power, and I think that they have the starting rotation to go with it. I know that their division is obviously very tough, but I think it could harden them come the postseason. And this, to me, really feels like a year that the Braves could make a deep playoff run.
They can make a run, but also you got to think about this, Brandon. To me, it's all about health. Losing Acuna last year
Yep.
really, really hurt them, and health is everything. That's how a team like the Phillies were able to take advantage. I kind of look at those four teams there, and I see definitely a winner out of those four teams.
Like that clip from the Braves podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brains World podcast right here on YouTube.